Chubb gets the first down there on a 12-yard line, but especially even after the first down run to Rachaad White doesn't go for anything, everything, every instinctual bone inside of Tom Brady was telling him to call the timeout because he knows in this league, especially with him at quarterback, how important every second can be. Do you think Tom Brady, if he does play in 2023, plays for his 24th consecutive year, do you think that if Todd Bowles is still the head coach of these Buccaneers, that could be a reason why Tom Brady does look to go somewhere else in the National Football League?
I mean, I think it's certainly a possibility, especially with Bowles' comments yesterday at the press conference. You're basically throwing Tom Brady underneath the bus. I know that he doesn't appreciate that. I don't think anybody would appreciate being told that, well, we were worried about throwing an interception. The guy has thrown 2 interceptions this year and is not prone to throwing interceptions in his career. So, for me, I think all that plays a part of it. At the end of the day, it's all about winning. If the Bucs go on a run here, if they can get their stuff together, get to the playoffs, just get in, who knows? At the end of the day, you still have Tom Brady. But there's going to be a lot of questions to be answered here in the next couple of weeks, and it starts with the Saints on Monday night, who have been terror. Even if the Bucs beat them earlier on in this year, you got to beat them again. You got to sweep them. They're a team that needs to be put out of their misery, and it's time to put the nail into the coffin. And again, it starts on Monday night.
100%. Now, I'm going to go ahead and Kyle Carver says it's getting better, though. I think he's talking in reference to the young defense, and I see that. The defense wasn't a problem against these Cleveland Browns on Sunday, and you're talking about, okay, yeah, Deshaun Watson's back, so, Jacoby Brissett's not going to be there. I think Jacoby's done enough that possibly there might be a team or two that if there's not 2 or 3 teams looking next year to sign that cat as their backup quarterback, there might be a couple of teams looking to sign that guy as their starter, and you know what? Buccaneers could be one of them. I hope he's not, because that means Tom Brady's still in Tampa Bay. Fred Grudes says coaching definitely is the issue versus the players. And Fred also says that not giving Tom Brady the ball with 35 seconds left is a huge mistake on a coaching staff.
It is. It absolutely is. And I'll go on my end here because I read some comments from Ben Cornett. He says some coordinators can be head coaches in the NFL. Some coordinators can only be coordinators in the NFL. The seesaw that Todd Bowles is sitting on right now is leaning toward the later, in my opinion. Honestly, I personally don't think Brady respects Bowles. And yeah, this is something that I've talked about ad nauseum on my show with Harry the Greek.
Yes.
Maybe you need that friction. Brady needed that friction for so many years with Bill Belichick for somebody to say, no, that's not how it works. This is how we're going to do it. You needed that friction with Bruce Arians, and now Bruce Arians is, up in the front office. So maybe that's where you bring the best out of Brady with that friction, and now you don't have that. You have Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich who don't have the greatest experience. And there was a reason why Todd Bowles got fired from the New York Jets. It was clock management, 24-40. Tell me what your record is, and I'll show you who you are. And certainly you can see that Todd Bowles has struggled this year when it comes to clock management situations, when it comes to effort. How can you put out that effort after you have a bye week and come out and be flat? I don't understand it, and nobody's ever going to make me understand this.
I tell you what, I feel I'm honored. I got Troy Polamalu coming in on the Cup of Ray here. Move the Rays to Puerto Rico. We don't want them in Tampa.
Well, first and foremost, nobody's going to move the Rays anywhere. And I did that. I put it on my YouTube, and this is what you get. Shooter! Did you think you were going to get out of that, buddy, with the sound effects? We got Shooter and Stash here. He says the Bolts lose to Boston tonight, which Boston is
they're doing pretty good this year.
The Boston this year, yes.
The Broad Street Bullies are looking pretty solid. Fred Good said defense did enough to win that game Sunday. The offense went 3 and out 7 straight times in second half. Defense can only hold up so long.
We're getting some calls here, so we'll go out to my phone line. Everybody knows my heart. So here we go. Let's go out to Mr. Matt Colston. Welcome to A Cup of Ray, co-hosted by yours truly. Go ahead.
All right, I just tuned in, and you said Bowles was 24-40 or whatever he was in New York.
Correct, with the Jets. Yes.
Playoffs his first year when he had a team.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment, and that was a lot of the point of my point of emphasis when Bowles was handed the job from BA and BA retired. Give him a chance, give him talent, but right now,
well, his talent is all in the IR, Peter.
Well, not all of it. I mean, you still have Tom Brady. Your offense went from Matt scoring 30 points a game to 17 to 20 and having red zone deficiencies. I mean, when did the excuses stop? When do we start taking accountability? And at the end of the day, this is the problem with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2022. There is no accountability on this team.
No. Well, that's just it, though. And I'll go ahead. Sorry to jump on you, Matt, but I'll say the same thing. It's not so much a fire isn't made, or if you will, the mettle of a coach isn't made is how they react when things are going well. It's how they're reacting, the decisions they're making when things aren't going well. And the Bucs have faced adversity. The problem with this Todd Bowles regime, if you will, for these Buccaneers is so far in 2022, every time they faced adversity, Pittsburgh, every time they faced adversity, Panthers, every time they faced adversity, Cleveland, it seems like more often than not, the wrong decision is being made. Even if the right decision was being made and this team was still losing, at least we could say, okay, the team got beat today. Well, our problem is we're not just Buck fans that are 2 years removed from a championship thinking we deserve it. It's owed to us. We're saying that when the adversity is faced, the wrong decisions are being made and not giving this team the best chance to win.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you about that, but the fact is they're doing something stupid. But is Bowles as dumb as Saturday, or is Saturday as smart as Bowles?
Well, I tell you right now, that clock management last night will prove everybody's point of the reason Jeff Saturday shouldn't get a job in the National Football League. He clearly lost that game for his team last night. The clock management was terrible.
You know what I thought the irony was at in that, Pete?
But that is the challenge with being a coordinator or not having that necessary experience. I mean, you can't put a price on experience, guys.
You know, but Pete, the irony in that, I'm glad you mentioned him. We already talked about that a little earlier, is that you got Matt Ryan, quarterback for those Colts, and Jeff Saturday, which he's never coached a day in his life, bless his heart. But Todd Bowles, who is actually a good football coach, but has starting to show that he does. It's almost as if, and you know what? I'll go ahead and say this right now. It's almost as if the way Jason Light and this Buccaneers team we always talked about, Bruce Arians is over there. He's in back of the field in the top office looking out the tinted window. He's actually still there. It almost looks as if there's a disconnect on his team, because if the plan all along is Todd Bowles coach the defense and let the offense take care of itself, well, damn it, I need to see Tom Brady coming off the sideline when Chubb gets that first down and going, timeout. Because just in case they score this touchdown, I want as much time possible. Because let me tell you, Bruce Arians, he would have called those timeouts because he knows if that defense scores, he wants his offense, no risk it, no biscuit, a chance to score. And I do believe with all my heart that Coach Bill Belichick would have done the same damn thing, because he's the greatest coach of all time.
Well, that's true. The Bowles has a different perspective. But we were saying in the offseason that Bowles was going to have a defense-first team. At least I was. I didn't
know you did.
30 points a game. I figured we'd do like 21-24, and like Warren Sapp used to say, hold the team down to 17 or less.
Right.
And win every
Right, but you're scoring 17, and you're having difficulty scoring in the red zone. That's a problem. And again, I'm not going to just say it's just all on coaching. It's a major part of it. When you lose a Gronkowski, we talked about it. Inline blocker, a guy that can do so many things, especially in the red zone. Not having Antonio Brown, we went through that. He quit on the team. They thought Julio Jones would be that guy to replace Brown. He's not yet. He's shown some flashes of brilliance lately, but he hasn't been healthy for the full year. So that's the problem. Well,
in the last 5 or 6 years, he sits out 8 games.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the chances you took. Also, Russell Gage, who's been a forgotten man, a man on the milk carton, because he has.
Oh my God, Russell Gage is on the Bucs squad. I forgot entirely.
But you signed him to a free agency deal, so I thought Jason Light has done a great job with free agency this year. It just hasn't worked out because the guys that you signed that you're depending on for those losses to replace them, they haven't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And here's a problem. I'll tell you what, I honestly, because we're always, it's a million, there's 99 problems, and this bitch is one, right? The thing about this is that you got this team that really bought into Tom Brady in 2020 during a pandemic. These are times that are hopefully in our lifetimes, between you, Pete, and Matt, hopefully we don't see these lifetimes, we don't see these situations again. During a pandemic, 2020, they brought in the greatest of all time, and they bought into the no risk it, no biscuit. Going into 2022, Bruce steps aside. got some health things going on. I think Christina's happy. He's not on the sidelines getting all frustrated. But all of a sudden, this team is like, who do we take our cues from? And like you said, Matt, we all figured it was going to be a defensive-minded coach. And going back to John McKay and maybe Lehman Bennett, but going back to, Lovie Smith and even, Coach, anyway, always a defensive-minded team here in Tampa Bay. But I think that in 2022, you still have Tom Brady going through those other issues. So his head wasn't there for most of the season, and you still have a defensive-minded coach running his team. Nobody knows who has the keys to the kingdom, and that may be the biggest disconnect with this 2022 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ray, Tom Brady isn't the only person in the NFL going through a divorce. Guaranteed. He's also not. He gets paid enough. And he has enough experience to where the personal life, he forgot about his mother having cancer when he was in New England, and he went to the playoffs. He can't get through a little divorce here in a couple of
I don't think it's fair to say he forgot about his mother.
No, he didn't. And that was the best part of that entire season, was being able to have her come out and celebrate that Super Bowl victory. But don't forget,
play through it.
He had that family support, right? He had his sisters and his father, and he had that family support with the thing his mother was going through. Whereas with the mother of his children, Giselle, or two of his three,
right,
he didn't have that family backup. It was hey, you got to take care of this. You got yourself into this. You got to get yourself out of this.
That's why you got lawyers. I mean,
Matt, everybody handles it a different way. All right, Matt, what do you think about the news that happened today? I know you responded to my post, but there's a report out there that Deion Sanders could be the next coach of USF. Your thoughts?
He's a great coach. He's a great player. He's a great secondary guy. He was one of the great in the NCAA, and he went to Florida State. And that's the next opening, because Florida State sucks. So
well, I'm not. Look. I think Mike Norvell has definitely turned that program around 9-3. They beat Florida. Yes, if he happens to slip up, then yeah, I think Deion could definitely end up there eventually. But I think right now, if he go ahead,
mercenary, he goes for the contract just like Sue, and he's got a right to do that because he's shown that he can do it. And everything he touches goes gold. Doesn't matter if it's television, football, or coaching, or writing commercials with a duck. He's getting away with everything.
Well, the irony is that, if Mike Norvell doesn't do a decent job with those Seminoles, he's got those USF Seminoles going in the right direction. It's just like Tua Tagovailoa down there in Miami doing a successful job. We still would have been saying, if Tua wasn't the guy, if he was washing out and Bridgewater was coming in and mopping up, then we'd still be thinking that Tom Brady may be a Dolphin next year. People are still saying that Tom Brady's a 49er in 2023 if he plays, because Trey Lance isn't ready and Garoppolo's not going to be there. But that's the same thing with, and that's why, Matt, one of the things that the Tampa Bay Times stories they ran today was, if you hire a coach, and they didn't name Deion Sanders by name, but they said if you hire a great coach and he comes here for 2 years and turns the program around and gets, recruiting going and gets a new stadium built there on campus, that's still a great hire. So even if Coach Deion comes here for a couple of years, we'd like him to stay for 5 or 6 and show the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida Gators and the Seminoles and the UCF how it's done. At the end of the day, coming here for just a couple of years and getting his program in the right direction is still a great hire.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that, and I'm glad that USF instead of some other school, if he's going to go to a different school. I want to see the Brahmas do well. I was back when they didn't have a football team. They used to have one there with John Matuzak playing over there in what used to be the old football stadium before they put the ends on it. So that's how I remember local football before the Bucks and after, with Leroy putting that team together.
Right. So, and you saw Jim Leavitt take it to the heights of number 2 in the country. So it's not like, it's unattainable. At the end of the day, this team can get on a run. You can get the proper recruits. He's a guy that could definitely bring juice to this program, in my opinion.
You know what else, Pete? Matt also hit me up on Facebook because Matt was watching that soccer today, too, between the U.S. and Iran. And, of course, the U.S. wins 1-0 to advance to the round of 16. Matt, I mean, are we all into soccer now? Is this just something to kill us because the Bucks don't play till Monday night, so now we got a weekend hustle?
It's the World Cup. If you even are passing interest in soccer, if you want to watch a game of highest caliber possible, that's a whole room of top shelf. Everybody, even the scrubs that got bumped out. Our best team made this year. But I still don't know. Is it Iran or Iran?
Yeah, is it Iran?
Well,
is it Iran or Iran? I think it's Iran.
Is it Qatar or Qatar?
No, it's Qatar.
Okay, that's what I think it is.
I thought it was Qatar.
Like the coach.
Well, here's what you call them: eliminated. They're going home. Okay, they're done. See you later.
Very long in the Cup series, but it's always fun. I usually watch it all the way to the end from the kickout round on down.
I'm not a soccer fan, but I gotta admit it's actually been very entertaining. I've sat down and watched it. Of course, I'm working during the day doing my sales job, and it kind of takes my mind off of the angry older people that are yelling at me. Such kind of like you, Matt. Sometimes you yell at me and I yell back at you, but it's always good to hear from you, my friend. Keep on calling up. All right.
I will. I'll start to be more of a habit as we get closer to the end of the year.
Can you please
do it
here?
Wait, right? Matt. You know what, Pete? Before we get Matt out of here, real quick, Matt. Monday, after you saw what happened there in Cleveland, you've seen what's happened. You saw where what this team can do. You've seen we play a host Monday night. We play the Saints over here at Raymond James Stadium. You got any early predictions for me?
Yeah, you feel good about that?
So we're supposed to win, so go with the Saints. Because we were supposed to beat Cleveland, and we were supposed to lose to the Seahawks in Munich. Remember?
Yes.
They've done everything they're not supposed to do. So if we're favored, go the other way. And
oh God.
Well, I tell you right now, they got to win this game because you can't afford to be 5-7. I don't care how good the Falcons are, and if you allow the Saints to get back into this division race, you're asking for it. You really are.
And Pete, like I told you, if we lose to the Saints on Monday night here at Raymond James Stadium, that's going to make that trip next week out to the West Coast versus the 49ers there at Levi Stadium. That I don't even know how bleak that picture could be if the Bucs don't take care of business against division rival the Saints this Monday night.
Yeah.
Joe is going to take us to church. But what I was going to say is people are already talking about folding up for the first round. At this point, it's all over Facebook. Everybody's they're going down because they need to get a replacement for Brady and a draft pick. I hope that's not the situation, and we need to try to win. But if we lose two more games, we might as well bench everybody and start looking to the future.
I've already got my guy in Kyle Trask, number 2. And if that's not the guy, then we'll figure this thing out. We're still Tampa Bay. We're still one of the best field in the National Football League. Income tax free state. We got the best organization. Jason Light's not going to all of a sudden forget how to be a GM. I still think moving forward, you don't, and I know you're just saying what you've heard, but you don't tank for a quarterback. First of all, there's not a good enough quarterback that's going to be outside 15. And even if the Bucs tank from here, they won't pick in the top 10. So forget that, Jazz.
Yeah, and of course, the inability of this Buccaneer organization to develop a young passer would scare the hell out of me. So we'll see what Kyle Trask has and what they do, but I still think Brady's going to play another year. Now, the key question is, will it be with the Bucs? Matt, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you. All right, boss?
You guys have a good night. I'll talk to you later.
All right,
Take
good
care,
stuff.
Matt.
We'll be on tomorrow night on the Sports Web. This is not the Sports Web. This is A Cup of Ray. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray. It's a habit, Ray. I can't help it. All right,
brother. That's why I appreciate it. And, just think about it. Going into the season, my thing was I had faith in Bruce. In Bruce, we trust that he was developing a Kyle Trask. Bruce is the one that could take a punter back in Temple back in the 80s and make him a quarterback in 3 weeks because he needed him. The kid threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And my whole belief was that Kyle Trask was the future. But again, with what's going on now, the way this team's being ran, defense first, run the clock, play for the overtime tie, I'm not sure even if Kyle Trask is the guy. I'm not sure he's in an environment that's going to give him an opportunity to show that he's the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go out to the comments here on yours. The Primetime Bulls, absolutely love it, Rob Thompson. It's actually Dirk Cutter. Ed says it's it's a must win this Monday night. Says Ed Gross there. Ed from Palm Harbor, definitely call in, guys. If you want to call in a couple, Ray, because I'm co-hosting tonight with my buddy there. Best of the Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Fred here. Bucs offense not sustaining drives and dragging this team down. Overall, Bucs third down positions on offense is unacceptable and downright pathetic. Great comment there by Fred, who's on top of it. Sports Web back-to-back episodes, kind of. Jason says, hello, boys. Hello, Jason. What's going on? You ask for calls, you get calls. Ed, welcome to A Cup of Ray with yours truly, along with Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Go.
I do believe this is the first time I've called in the Cup of Ray.
Well, there you go. See, now we got to get him a phone line because the poor guy doesn't. Hey, we may do this on Sunday morning. If Ray can bribe me enough, maybe I'll get up early enough. We can do A Cup of Ray and I can produce it. And that's the thing. That's awesome. People don't understand. Like, I can just sit at my house and produce your show. Show me the money, show me the money like Cuban Gooding Jr. from Jerry Maguire. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I didn't call in and talk about the game because I was really upset.
Really upset. How upset were you? Did it?
Oh, I turned it off. I couldn't watch it.
Couldn't watch it anymore?
I've never turned off a Bucks game.
Wow.
Yeah, at the end of the third quarter, I was like, they're done. Season's over. They're done.
Is that how you feel right now? I mean,
I still feel like they're going to get beat by the Saints, and if they do, that's it. That's the nail in the coffin right there. They're just not the same team, Pete. They're just not.
They're
whatever the reason is, whether it's coaching, whether it's Brady, whether it's offense, whether it's defense.
Yeah.
They're just not the team they were, man.
Well, they're not good enough to overcome mistakes. They made quite a bit of those this year. Their offensive line, as my other co-host would say, Mr. Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire, the line is not good. They've been through lots of changes. Again, we keep on going back to it. Ryan Jensen injury, Ali Marpet, multiple injuries, playing a rookie, and now Tristan Wirfs for the next 3 or 4 weeks. You can't think that offensive line is going to get any better. It's just all the changes, all the noise, all the nonsense, if you will, and then it's all compounded by effort and coaching. Yes, it's not the same team, but you know what? They do have some time. The season isn't over with. Ray.
And they do play. They play in the worst division in football. I mean, somehow the NFC South switched places with the NFC East, and now we're the NFC least. I guess it doesn't rhyme with South, but it basically fits. And truth of the matter is, Pete, and Ed probably agrees, we kind of all felt this way back when Tom Brady announced after 40 days he was coming back this season, and then 5 minutes later, Bruce Arians announced he's retired. And I think we all said, well, how exactly is that going to work? And I think Bucs fans will agree. Here we are in the 12th week of the season, 2022, and I don't think this organization's figured out yet how this is going to work. I know these players haven't figured out, and I know Bucs fans are desperate for them to finally do figure out how it's going to work so we can finally get to see what this team's truly made of.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't see this coaching, or I don't see this management here making a coaching change next year. I know it's too early to talk about a coaching change because we still got a lot of season to go, but they've been notorious of waiting way too long before firing coaches.
Well, they don't do it during the season. They never do it during the season. Yeah. It's always a calculated, decision by the Glazers. They know what they're doing. That we have this is a great ownership. They're doing everything they can to win. It's just not working this year. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm not, always in favor of firing coaches, hiring coaches, because that's when you become a bad franchise. And that's when that consistency isn't there. But, in order to keep Tom Brady, if that's a move you may have to make, who knows? I don't know. That's looking inside the crystal ball and saying this season is over with yet. And I'm not ready to talk about the draft or next season. I'm ready to talk about this season and picking up a win on Monday night versus the Saints.
Pete, let me ask you this, and Ed, let me ask you this. Pete, you and I talked about this last night, and I didn't see the forest through the trees. Sure. I happened to catch Sean Payton talking with Colin Cowherd on his cast yesterday, and I was like, I know Sean Payton wants to come to the NFL back in 2023. I know the studio thing. He's doing okay there. He's a little bit better than Drew Brees was, but I think he wants to coach again. And I know we already have a history with the fact that
bored. He looks bored to me.
He's bored, right?
Well, he not only looks bored, but he still has that sourpuss. I can't get that out of my mind. So watching him on TV, it's almost like he
looks left out. He's over on the end, and he's kind of like, let me jump in, because he used to be in the head guy in charge. And Ed, what if the Bucks, if Jason Light were to call Mickey Loomis or were to call the New Orleans Saints, and they were to say, what are you guys willing, even though it's your own division, you guys got your stuff going on there, and you got some new young pieces, what would you guys be willing to take to entertain the thought of allowing a Sean Payton to come here if Tom Brady says he'll extend his contract for 2 years with Sean Payton as the coach of this team. What do you think the Buccaneers should be willing to at least off the top conceive of giving away for that?
So he's still under contract with them even after this season?
Yes, he is still under
Yeah,
contract with the New Orleans. Yeah, I don't see the Saints making that trade. And if you're going to try to trade for a coach like that, who's won a Super Bowl, who's had a lot of success with offenses, and when you know,
we did something similar with Gruden, and we saw where that got us.
Well,
got a Super Bowl. He got us a Super Bowl.
I mean,
it was it. We were one and done. Though that was the problem.
So what? I mean, what are you talking about? Would you do it again?
Year,
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Now you're spewing some nonsense here, man. Okay, you can do this, but would you do that over again? Would you give up? Would you sell your soul to the devil? Give up 2 first-round, 2 second-round picks to win a Super Bowl?
For a third Lombardi?
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, then. So what are we talking about?
I'm not saying it wasn't worth it.
Okay.
Dude, but it's not something that you want to keep doing, though.
I mean, if it wins you a Super Bowl, I mean,
you're not. I mean, we ideally we'd want to develop a team that just can win. You know,
you want to be you definitely want to be consistent and win. You want to be competitive, but you also, if you have an opportunity to go all in, I'm all about going all in.
Right. I know you are, Pete.
What did they say? Screw those draft picks. What was it? Les Snead? It wasn't screw. It was F those draft picks. I mean, yeah, they're not doing well right now, but the Rams won a Super Bowl. You going to do that? Yeah. Who cares about those draft picks?
Yeah, I do agree, though. I do believe if there is some way they could get Sean Payton here, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen, but
I think the question becomes.
I'll give you a name. You ready? Here's a name, guys.
Josh McDaniel.
No, I'm kidding. Hell no, please. Let's put our thinking cap on here. Who's struggling right now in the National Football League that doesn't always struggle? How about Mike Tomlin from the Pittsburgh?
Oh,
that guy. That guy's consistent. I mean, look, if the Steelers decide to move on at the end of the day, and he's out there, and the Bucs want to move on, I would go out and get a Mike Tomlin because, yes, even though he's a defensive-minded coach, he's a far better commodity than Todd Bowles at this juncture.
Maybe he brings Canada as his offensive coordinator, and then we have problems.
Maybe you don't. So maybe you should.
Hey, shut up! Was going to be a problem with Bowles. I called it. I called it during the offseason when they made the move. I was like, why did they let Bruce Arians go? Well, and then it started to. And then it kind of, as the season went on, I could see that there was obviously some friction there with him and Brady. That was the only reason why it could have happened. But
that's what I think it was, and there's definitely something there, and I think it's made Brady better in his career. Honestly, I go back to Joe Montana in that documentary. You know, he wasn't necessarily on the best terms with Bill Walsh, but Bill Walsh got the best out of him because they had that friction. They had those different conversations, which made him better. What if I told you the reason why Brady was so great is because of that friction with other coaches, with those differing opinions? Sometimes it's okay to differ in opinion. That's what we learn here on A Couple Ray and, of course, the Sports Web. Ed, what else?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I appreciate it. Let me talk on your show. You guys got a great show.
Thank you, brother.
I've definitely been watching Ray, but he needs to get a phone. You're right. He definitely.
I will.
Got to get him a phone line. Got to get him hooked up there. We'll work on it. I'll get him right. Thanks a lot, Ed, for the call. Appreciate you. All right, good stuff there. Let's go out to these texting lines here. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And if you guys are not going to call and text in here on A Couple Ray, I'm going to go and eat because I haven't ate yet.
Yeah, I got you, bro.
But I'm going to stay around here for a little bit longer. We're going to talk Sports Web back-to-back. No, kind of, but not. The offensive line is not the same. Agree, Fred. After Byron Leftwich clearly knew Rashard White was better third down, but yet he kept trotting Fournette out there in most of the games and couldn't get minimum games. White is getting those yards with very minimum space. He deserves to be first and second down back to put the offense in better yardage situations on third down. Absolutely. Because he gives you that explosive option. He's very dynamic. He can catch the ball. He can pass protect. And he can get through those holes maybe those little holes, because he is so quick and so patient. I like the moving of Rashard White to the starting position. That's the reason why you drafted him in the 3rd round in the first place, right?
Pete, yeah. Can I ask you though, like after you watched that pathetic offensive showing there yesterday in Cleveland, I mean, he did a couple of things, but then they reverted back to a lot of the problems they've had this year. And for the first 6 weeks of the season, we were saying, oh, it's because Tom's head wasn't in there and they're protecting him and we're trying to stay in this and we're ready. And then the Seattle game in Munich and we're back and now we're rushing out there. Did it almost feel like Byron Leftwich may have been reverting back to a protective father type situation with the plays he was calling? Because it looked like they reverted right back to where they were 3 weeks ago.
I mean, it goes back to what Harry the Greek said, my co-host. You got to run the ball more than what you did. And how many times did you run the ball? You had success in the first half, even the first quarter with 56 yards, and then all of a sudden you go away from it. Why? You weren't down in the game. You were down by 3 points. Why are you going away from the running game? It makes no sense. And that's what we continue to say about this team throughout the years, whether BA is coaching or not. But the thing was, they had enough talent to get away from the running game and win with the passing game. They can't do that this year. You got to have the running game. You got to be balanced because it makes this offense that much more explosive.
Yeah, and I think we know that that Todd Bowles is leaving it to the offense is not in his – obviously it's not, because he doesn't call the timeouts when Cleveland's driving down for that game-tying touchdown to give the offense a chance to go back up and get a Ryan Succop field goal. He makes a silly call when Rashard White doesn't pick up a lot of any yardage, loses yards on that first down, but then we get that nice pass to Julio, and now all of a sudden we're one play away from Ryan Succop field goal range, but wow, there's 8 seconds on the clock. So it's obvious that Todd Bowles has nothing to do with this offense that these Buccaneers are calling, but is Byron Leftwich trying to call a game plan to satisfy Tom Brady, or is Tom Brady running an offense trying to satisfy Byron Leftwich? I think that's one of the things that's driven me craziest the most this year.
$1 billion question. We have no idea. We just don't have any idea. I'll tell you what, let's go back out to the comments here. Jason says, I love when Peter uses his spirit fingers. Okay. Ray, when you can see you in that crop top again, my man, how about no?
How about no?
USF sucks. So do you. Ray is living the life at the bar on Tuesday night. That's okay, Troy. You should get out there. Welcome back. D. Watson. Browns are about to finish undefeated. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Rob Thompson of Crew Live, thanks a lot for tuning in here. I wish I was in Cleveland, the front row in the dog pound, screaming timeout.
Yeah, Rob was there. I saw all over his Facebook page, and thanks, Rob. I appreciate that, because we were living vicariously through you, and I'm sure Bucs fans that were in the stadium. It seems like every person who follows this team, except for the head coach Todd Bowles, was saying timeout, and for some reason, and that's why, I mean, at this point, I would have almost taken the loss a lot more valiantly if I'd have saw Tom Brady come off the bench when Chubbs gets that first down, and then they run it down, and Tom Brady would have came off and went, you know what, timeout, because I don't think there's a rule in the NFL that says it has to be a coach. And I'm not trying to say I think Tom Brady should show up Todd Bowles, but I think even Tom Brady realizes that calling those timeouts to save that time to give the Bucs a Ryan Succop chance at a field goal to win that game would have been a lot better than letting the time run off from a defensive-minded coach like the way they ran it.
All right, let's go back out to the comments here. Rob says 8 to 9 wins to win the South. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think the thing is, we always say, well, this is, and everybody in the entire universe, not just national media, not just us Bucs fans or Tampa Bay media, says you get Tom Brady to the dance and then look out. This Buccaneers team can finish 8 and 9 and win the South, but if they don't get these little problems figured out, if they don't get these when to call timeouts, what kind of game plan we want to run, it's not just going to be a defensive-minded team. Coach Bowles, I respect you, especially as a defensive coordinator, one of the best, if not the best, in the National Football League. But if you can't figure out what every other football fan who's been watching football since we were knee-high to a grasshopper knows, once that team gets down there, you call the timeouts to save the clock because you got the greatest of all time. If they don't get those problems figured out before the postseason, it's going to be a one and done. And in the best case scenario, we do come up against those Philadelphia Eagles. They get revenge for last year's bump when the Bucs kicked them out in the first week, and they win it. But if this Buccaneers team gets things straightened out and you get all 53 on the same page, then look out. We can at least get past the NFC, and let's see who the AFC could put up against us in 57 out there in Arizona.
Anything is possible, my friend. Not for long. NFL. Both of y'all stop cursing the Bucs by shaving your all beards. Russ says, I'd offer Shanahan top dollar. Shanahan too. Kyle Shanahan? Is that what you're
Mike
saying?
Shanahan is still coaching.
Todd Bowles is horrible. Rick says it's football. Anything can happen. Maybe this team can get it together. Absolutely. And last comment, real Bucs fans know Doug Martin is better than Fournette. I mean, your take on that, Fournette or Doug Martin?
Are we talking with the performance-enhancing drugs or without?
Well, that
kidding.
didn't necessarily work out into his favor, did it?
No, it didn't, brother. But Pete, man, I had to come out there and get this off my chest. I appreciate you letting me come on. I appreciate you coming here and producing me tonight, man. I tell you what, of all the things that happened tonight, you and me getting together for a little tete-a-tete was actually the best. I said tete-a-tete, not tete-a-tete. What's the best thing about this night, brother?
Well,
thank you so much.
And yeah, just to reset here, the big time story of the day, according to JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, USF is zeroing in on Deion Sanders. 90% that this deal could be done. We'll see what happens. Announcement could be Monday. Of course, this follows through with USF announcing that they would like to have a coach in place by December 5th. So we'll keep you abreast of the situation here live on I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and of course the hub on the Sports Web. Ray, always welcome on the Sports Web. I'm going to get out of here on that. You go ahead and wrap up the show, my friend.
Brother, I love you, Pete. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Love you, brother.
So, yeah, go ahead, join it. If you want to watch JP Peterson tomorrow morning, of course, he's doing this thing every morning at 10 a.m. You can catch him. I do. I love watching JP. He's going to be talking more about this. And the reason why Deion Sanders, even though he's been at Jackson State, even though he's been, doing it right there, and you love the narrative, the national eyes, HBO Sports, Brian Gumbel, everything, they're doing stories on him because he's doing it right? I love the way Coach Deion Sanders talks about going and sitting in a living room with these parents, these moms and these dads, but especially these moms, telling them that he's going to make their sons a man. He's going to teach them how to be a man. And I'll tell you one, you go back to Deion Sanders at Florida State, you go back to Deion Sanders with the not only Falcons, but with the Braves, with the Cowboys, and then with the 49ers. And one thing that cat always was is an upstanding, respectable man. And why does it make sense for him to come to USF and be coach of these Bulls? Because he can show all the other colleges in the state that it's not just necessarily about the size or the length or the time that your institution's been around. It's about recruiting young men, teaching them to be men, teaching them to be men properly, and then at the end of the day, teaching them to do it the right way. Also, USA beats Iran today 1-0 to advance to the round of 16. Their game on Saturday versus the Netherlands will start at 10 a.m. And I want to go ahead and remind you, down here at Ferg's, even though usually on Saturday mornings they open at 11, this Saturday, Coach is opening at 9 a.m. So you can come down here, get a beautiful spot. It's the best time of year to be here in Florida. All of our tourists are coming down. All of our snowbirds are here. But we're here local. We can come down here, get set up, get some of those wings, get a burger, get some drinks, and watch the USA take on the Netherlands in a round of 16 from in Qatar in the World Cup. Deion, Qatar, Bucks. There's so much more we can talk about. The Lightning lose tonight to the Boston Bruins. We'll talk about that later. Join JP Peterson again tomorrow morning on his show, so he'll talk more about this news with Deion Sanders to USF Bulls. And thanks for joining me here on a special Tuesday night, Taco Tuesday. Cup of Ray pop-up from down here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill out here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. And I nailed it that time. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate all the comments tonight. It's been great. And I will get those phones working so I can take your calls. Have a great evening, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. Go USA.